Welcome back. Gotten really humid here in Missouri the last couple days. Well, today I'm going to start putting the sheeting on the walls. This stuff right here, OSB. I've already put the end ones on because they're going to be the oddball sheets. I was able to use one sheet to make that, but I still had to cut it short because it's less than 8 feet. And when I was cutting that board, I was thinking, okay, I got 20 more sheets or so to cut. And the walls in here are 80 inches. And I thought, cutting all those off one at a time, that ain't gonna work. So I've come up with something. I took a couple of those 2x6s up there, the ones that supported the loft, and I cut them to 9 foot long. Then I screwed them into my sawhorses. Kind of made it square, it's not perfect. But then at the end of each one of these 2x6s, I put a block. Now I cut these 2x6s 9 feet long, so I can put the full 4x8 sheet on here, and I can put 3 on at a time and cut all 3 at a time. I can't cut a straight line to save my life. I can use this Kreg jig right here, and I can cut across here, and I won't have to worry about these 3 boards. You know how when you cut, with one of these, saws, you're gonna have pieces of wood that fall off, and you got to support it because it's wanting to hang down and fall and splinter and everything. Well, with this here, you use 2 hands because you got to guide it with this and you got to hold the trigger on the saw. So with these extended rails here, I get them cut, they just lay there. Here, let me show you. And since my arms aren't really long, I have to do this in 2 parts. Hardly could use a sharper blade. But see, I got 3 boards and a lot of dust. But I don't have to worry about supporting them as I'm cutting them. I'm just doing it like this, but I can cut 3 at a time, all of them at 80 inches. That way I have every board cut and they'll be the correct height. In the other shops, everything, the walls were 8 foot, so you just get an 8 foot board and put it up. It's no problem. But these are shorter, so I just get them all cut and they're ready to go. Time to saw some more and start installing. Well, I cut a few more of those boards and had to call it a day. Got kind of hot and back was hurting pretty bad, so thought, well, hey, I'll come out the next day. Well, then these guys show up with a tractor and they dig the sewer and they dug my electric line. And then they dug this extra line right here for the shop, and they couldn't fill that in because I got to put this conduit in there. And I couldn't really film these guys doing anything is because we thought we might need a pump for the septic tank. So I was going over to Neosho and Joplin trying to find a pump, and I found one, but it wasn't the right one. And then the guy called me and said, hey, I don't think we're going to need one. So looks like the sewer's going to work. And so I was going to put the conduit in for the shop today. As you can see, I started over there, then it rained. So today I'm back to cutting boards. And Mrs. Pidler is going to help me. So that ought to save my back a little bit. And that's the last of the wall boards that need to be cut to length. Now to start installing them. Whew, there's one board up. Well, I wished I could have screwed all the screws for this part of the wall as fast as that. But this is how far I got that day. I really wish those black lines would line up. It's affecting my OCD. But hey, they're going to work. By the time I get them all put on and stuff in the way, it won't be a problem. Still working on the walls. Got a lot more to go. But after I called it a day on those walls, went and got a few more fittings that I needed and got the conduit ran for the electric to the shop. Now I'm sliding this over the wire as we go because I wasn't going to try to pull that wire all the way through there. So I'm just sliding each piece on with the help of Mrs. Pidler, and I'm going to try to get this wrapped up today. Well, after a little frustration, I got it all done. Got it ran here all the way up into the power box on the pole. Now I just gotta pull that off and hook these to it. But I'll get to that later. Oh, I'm gonna hate this. I got to get that grounding rod all the way down to the ground. That's 8 feet of solid copper. So let me try getting that in there. Well, it took me all day. Sledgehammer, mini sledgehammer, hammer drill that I rigged up here with a air chisel with a deep well socket, and got a couple nuts there put in there to hold it, but I got that in there. It started way up here, but in about 3 hours time, getting through all this Missouri rock, I got it where it needs to be. Well, good morning. Oh man, my back, my shoulders, my neck, oh, they're sore. I knew they probably would be after pounding in that ground rod. But from all my research, that ground rod has to be 8 foot in the ground, basically right below the surface. So that's where I put it. I thought about cutting it off a few times, but I thought I better go ahead and just stay with it and finish the job. So I got it down there. So like I mentioned, after I got that rod pounded down in there and air hammered in there, I was wore out. So I cleaned up all my tools and everything. I went in and took a shower, and I took Mrs. Piddler out for a night on the town. Well, since I pretty much live in the middle of nowhere, you got to travel a ways to, do anything and have fun. So I knew it needed to be something exciting, to make that drive worth it. So I took her to the drag races. Too bad you guys can't feel that. Man, it was loud. There was a smell of burning rubber. They had some nitro cars there running, and you could just smell that. Oh man, it stunk, but it was fun. And yes, we got to see this truck. Yeah, that one from the TV show Street Outlaws. This was a grudge race against this funny car, Supermax. But it was all in fun. Well, I now need to get this wire here, ran through my breaker box in here, down through the stud, get it to outside, and I'm gonna have to get it hooked to that ground bar. So this wire here, it's copper wire. It has to hook to the ground rod. Got a clamp for it. Then it'll come up and come into the breaker box, and it'll hook right here to this terminal. And then I'll have a place to hook all my ground wires, that's in these here. So the first thing I got to do is drill a hole to the outside. This drill bit here is just a little bit bigger than the copper wire. I think I'm through. Yep, I see daylight out there. So I got to feed this wire here through the panel and then down through that hole and outside to the ground rod. So this ought to be fun. So I got to uncoil this, or try to uncoil it. I don't need very much. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but I'm going to run it through that hole right there. Well, after you saw that wire come down out of the bottom of the shop, my camera didn't record the rest of it. I got everything set up, hit record, and it recorded like 6 seconds of it. So what you do is, once you get that copper out of your building, you bring it down and you attach it with a clamp. And that clamps that copper wire to the ground rod. Then on the inside, you just bring it up, measure it out, and hook it to that lug right there and tighten her down really good. So now, this here is grounded to the ground rod, and it's grounded to this metal cabinet. And I got a ground bar up there. I just want to say I'm not a professional at any of this stuff. All I do is look up on the internet how to do things and watch videos on YouTube. And I just kind of learn from there. Now, if something's really tricky or could be dangerous, yeah, I'll let a professional come in and do that. But with all this electrical stuff, it was just really confusing. Like the guy that did my home over there, that ran the wires for it. He told me I don't need a ground rod. Just hook that bonding screw in there and just hook my neutrals and my ground together on the bar. I didn't like that. I asked other people and they're like, oh yeah, you definitely need a ground rod. So I did more research and I discovered that a ground rod really helps if you get hit by lightning. And we do have some wicked lightning here. Well, I guess I'm in this video here. I wish I was showing something more exciting in these videos, but all I have to do right now is this shop. I can't do nothing at the house yet. And I got to get my shop done so I can start making things. So that's still a while off. Seems like more of my videos are being like a vlog style where I'm just kind of showing you what I'm doing and not really showing you me doing it for the most part. So maybe I'll just have to go that route for a while until things get done. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I upload one of these videos. Leave me a comment. I try to answer every comment that I can, and see ya.